Right. So learners, we asked you to do we consider this a class starter. So here we have y squared plus 3 plus 12 over y squared plus 3 is equals to 7. Now, whenever we encounter an equation like this, as ons 'n vergelyking soos dit kry, kan ons dit gaan oplos. Because there's a repetition, we can go solve this by using a tool that we have learned earlier this year, and that method is called the K method. So whatever repeats, in this case it will be y squared plus 3, and there I can say there's a repetition of that, so I'm going to say K is equals to whatever repeats, so that's going to be y squared plus 3. So everywhere there where I see that, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to rewrite that with K plus 12 over K equals to 7. Now, here we have a denominator. So K, whenever we have a denominator, if this denominator is 0, what's going to happen to the whole equation? It's going to be undefined. So we have a restriction or a limit of in Afrikaans we have in Afrikaans noem ons dit 'n beperking. Alright, so we have a limit on this and we say K cannot be equals to 0, because if K is equals to 0, this whole thing will be undefined. You could have said that as well, y squared plus 3 cannot be equals to 0. So what we're going to do now, but now I want to get rid of the denominator. I don't prefer working with fractions. I want to get rid of the denominator, and how I do that, I multiply with K. So if I multiply right through. So if I multiply K times K, it's going to be K squared. If I multiply 12 over K, and I multiply this with K, that's K over 1, that K and that K cancel out, so that's just going to be plus 12 is equals to 7K. Am I done? No. We are supposed to solve y, and there's no y's here. Alright, so before I first need to solve K, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to say K squared. I'm going to write it in descending powers of K. So that's going to be K squared. I take this 7K over, it becomes minus 7K plus 12 is equals to 0. What do I have here? A trinomial. But this trinomial is written in terms of K. So I can go to my quadratic formula, because my quadratic formula helps me to solve trinomials. Or we have grade 10 basics, which says the factors of the first term and the factors of the last term is supposed to cross multiply and get me to the middle term. So let's go do factors of K squared. I like writing it out on the side so the examiner can also see what is the factors of K squared. K and K. Right. Then what is the factors of 12? Now there's different factors of 12. Let's just write down everything. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 12. We normally have combinations of like that, right? So you can do it like this. You can write it down, do it some trial and error. But because we grade 11, we don't have that time, so we need to think before we write. So if I think about 1 and 12, what is going to get? Is going to either get me 13 or 11. That's not what I'm looking for. So that one is out. If I think about 2 and 6, it's going to get me 4, 8. Not also what I'm looking for. So that one also not going to work. If I take 3 and 4, yes. Okay, so I'm going to write 3 and 4. So I'm going to cross multiply. So that's going to be 3K. And then this one is going to be 4K. Factors of 12. And now I need to do what with this to get to negative 7K? Negative, negative. So there's a negative. So this becomes my brackets. When you do your work, your preparation like this, grade 10 basics, it's quite easy. So now I can say K minus 3 and K minus 4 is equals to 0. So now we can say K minus 3 equals to 0, or K minus 4 is equals to 0. What do I call this again? This is called a zero product, a null product. But I'm not done, because the question was never to solve for K. What was the question? Solve for Y. Now I need to take this back and substitute it here. So what is the value of Y again? It's of K. It's Y squared plus 3 minus 3 is equals to 0. So where does that come from? I just put that back. Remember, I just used the tool, and now the tool has done its work. So I'm back with what is the other one? y square plus 3 minus 4 is equals to 0. Alright, so what happens here? The nice thing that cancels out. So we have y square is equals to 0. You can square on both sides. Or, so that's going to be plus minus 0. But do we get the plus minus 0? No, 0 is a neutral number. No? 0 doesn't choose sides. It's a draadsitter, right in the middle. So we just have the y is equals to 0. What do we have here? If I simplify here, like terms y square minus 1 is equals to 0. Now what you can do, you can take the 1 over. But I'm a little bit afraid of that, Lino. So because a lot of learners, what they do is, if they take the 1 over, they're going to square it on both sides. And then, if they square, they forget about the minus sign. Alright, so what I would suggest is you identify here that this is actually a difference of 2 squares. Now you see how your grade 10 and that first lesson or that first week's lesson that I did on your first page of your algebra book is important. So if you missed that, there is a video on this. You can go watch the Cordeur, it's the YouTube channel. You can go watch there. So I write it like that, so that becomes y minus 1 and y plus 1 is equals to 0. So therefore that means y is equals to 1 or y is equals to negative 1. So my possible answers here can be what? Y can be 0, y can be 1, and y can be negative 1. Now what you always need to go check, here we had a restriction, k is not equals to 0, but that k was actually what? That k was actually y squared plus 3 equals to 0. Alright? So there is your first solution. Whenever you get this, say for example, this was for example y square minus and y cannot be equals to 0, then this answer you need to scratch out because that is the restriction. Just remember that. I'll explain that further with another example. Okay? Preferably, but I didn't write it in order right now. Okay. Alright, take that in, look at the next question, try to solve the next question. Although this is not a trinomial squared, you can use the same principles to solve. Is everyone done with number 4? Guys, girls, please, you need to attempt these questions because this is the type of questions that you're going to get at the end of the year exams, and we are doing preparation for that, so please make sure you can do this and you can do it well. The reason why I'm allowing you more time to work on your own is I want you to attempt it because you're not doing a lot or you're not gaining a lot of exercise when I'm just doing everything on the board. Okay? So please attempt these questions. Not yet. Okay. I'm going to do number 4 underneath so long because I do not want to waste so much time here. So question number 4 looks like this. We have 2x to the power of 4 minus 5x squared minus 12 is equals to 0. What can we do here? Factorize. Once again, although this is not a quadratic, but the principle is the same. How do we factorize? We take the factors of the first term, which is 2x to the power of 4 and negative 12. Okay? But let's just, alright, leave the signs out. We can fill in the signs later. Once again, what did you see here? For example, here was plus. What does this plus indicate to me? The sign within the brackets are going to be the same. Just remember that. That's a quick way of checking. Alright, so what is the factors of 12x to the power of 4? Sorry, 2x to the power of 2x to the power of 4. How do I get to that? 2x squared and x squared. Factors of, thank you, factors of 12. Alright, we can use 4 and 3. If we do this, this is going to get us to, no, this is not the right one. If we go 2x squared times with 3x, what is that going to get us? 6x squared. X squared times with 4, 4x squared. If I add them up, I get 10x squared. If I subtract them, I get 2x squared. Does this work? No. You see, sometimes you can get stuff that doesn't work or combinations that does not work. That doesn't mean you sit and cry and you give up. Then you just start the process again. So we're going to say 2x to the power of 4 and 12. I need to have factors there. What? 2x squared and x squared. Factors, these are the right factors, but the order in which I use them was not right. So I'm going to change the order around like that. 2x squared times with 4 is equals to 8x squared. And here we have 3x squared. If I add them up, I get 11. But if I subtract them, I get 5x squared. Now, in order for me to subtract to get a negative 5, which I'm looking for here, then 8 must be negative. That one must be positive. So there's a positive there and a negative there. And now this becomes my two brackets. So this just becomes 2x squared plus 3. I want you to stay for this one. 2 minus and then x squared minus 4 is equals to 0. Quite important here because sometimes we forget our simple rules. So what do we have here? A zero product, yes, which means 2x squared is equals to negative 3. Are you with me? And then x squared minus 4 is equals to 0. But I can already see something here and I'm just going to say, what would we normally do? Would we divide by 2? So that becomes x squared is equals to negative 3 over 2. What would I do after that? Square on both sides. So that's going to be a square there and a square there. I'm going to ask you, the last time that we were here, we spoke about something. Ons het gepraat van die aard van die wortels. Kan julle nou? Die aard van die wortels. Now, what do we use there? The discriminant. Whenever there is a negative in a square root, what is your calculator say? Undefined. It is error. No? So that answer, we have no solution here for that one. So here, x has no solution. But that doesn't mean this one doesn't have solution. Because this is what? A difference of two squares. So therefore I can say x plus 2, x minus 2 equals to 0. Therefore x is equals to negative 2 or x is equals to positive 2. There you go. Learners, remember the class starts at 7:45. There's a lot of learners standing outside at that time. We don't have a lot of time, so please make sure that you are on time and you are here so that we can start immediately. Good morning, learners. Have a lovely day.